Considering 2014 was such a dumpster fire of mediocrity that it pretty much made me drop this channel and go back to building up my backlog, 2017 has been a fantastic year for new games. Many of them I was actually looking forward to. Not all of them were good, but hey, what can you do? The current console generation finally made itself viable, and we've gotten a few standout titles in general that I'm sure people will still be fondly enjoying years from now. I didn't get around to everything I wanted to play this year because being a working adult sucks ass, but I still made a solid list of my top 10 favourite titles of the year. I stress that's favourite, not best. So if you're going to go and tell me my opinions are objectively wrong, you're kinda missing the point. Let's get started. This one kind of went under the radar for a lot of people. Ever Oasis is basically an RPG management hybrid where you're tasked with building a village community in an oasis to help it bloom, attracting more visitors and residents to expand your shops, grow your oasis, and explore the lands beyond to gather materials to help it all prosper. It carries elements of Animal Crossing, The Legend of Zelda, and Fantasy Life. While I wouldn't say it's as good as those games, it's still enjoyable and unique enough to give it a particular charm. And from the looks of it, it's one of the last noteworthy releases that the 3DS is going to see, so it's probably worth checking out before you go and retire your 3DS for good. I was way too nice to Pokemon X and Y when they first came out. They're not terrible, but going back to play just about any other given Pokemon game just showcases how lacking they are. Same goes for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I can say, however, that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are the best mainline 3DS Pokemon games for all that that's worth. There's enough content here to keep you busy for well over 100 hours. The mechanics and UI have been refined to some of the best the series has seen, and it's hands down one of the best looking games you'll see on the 3DS. I thought it was pretty good. It sits at number 9, however, because I still feel like this is far from the best the Pokemon series can be. It's not quite the gems that Emerald and Black and White 2 managed to be. It's a step in the right direction, but it still needs some work. If you haven't played Sun and Moon yet, this is definitely the best way to go about it. If you have already played them, I can't promise the added content would warrant a revisit this soon. Purely from style alone, this game is an absolute joy to play. Sporting an authentic 1930s animation aesthetic complete with hand-drawn animations and a jazzy soundtrack. The boss fights are all unique in design and offer their own challenges that will test your reflexes and memory until you're able to revel in the satisfaction of finally beating them. It even has a few Mega Man-style platforming levels to break up the boss stages and add a bit of variety. I had a great time plowing through Cuphead, but at the same time it kinda felt like a one-and-done affair. It just doesn't quite have the same level of replayability that I found in other tough-as-nails trial-and-error games like Super Meat Boy, Abe's Exodus, and V6. Regardless, it was damn good fun and definitely worth checking out if you want to torture yourself for a few hours. I was pleasantly surprised by Horizon Zero Dawn. Given how so much of the lead up to Horizon was peacocking its visuals around, I was afraid it would wind up being a very linear sightseeing tour like pretty much everything Naughty Dog have released in the last 10 years. But I was wrong. Horizon is not only very open-ended, but it has a massive world filled to the brim with detail, hours upon hours of content, enjoyable combat, and an impressive amount of effort put into the world building and lore. It borrows elements from games like The Witcher 3, Skyrim, and Shadow of Mordor that, while derivative, makes the gameplay work in a jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none sort of way. The story is pretty average, but there's enough quality stuff here to keep you entertained for a good long time. If you know anything about this game, you're no doubt sick to death of hearing about it by now. If you don't, then you're probably wondering what the hell it's doing here. All I could really say is this is a fantastic example of using games as a storytelling medium. Stuff like this, Metal Gear Solid 2, Nier, The Stanley Parable, Pony Island, Undertale, they're all great examples of telling stories through the medium of video games in a way that just couldn't work in the context of a book or movie. I don't know what to tell you, I'm just a sucker for good meta-narratives. You don't really need to know too much about the genre. I mean, I haven't really touched any visual novels or dating sims. Well, actually, Steins Gate was pretty good. And Katawa Shoujo. And Analog. And Teaching Film. Okay, so maybe I do like a few VNs, don't judge me. If you want to check out this game, there's just 4 things you need to know. This must be experienced blind, it's only about 4 to 5 hours long, it's free, and it's not over until the credits roll. I won't spoil any more than that. Let's be real here, Yooka-Laylee was a massive disappointment. It had all the aesthetic charm of collectathon platformers of yore, but its lack of polish, inconsistent controls, and questionable design severely held it back. It also greatly overshadowed a similar throwback collectathon platformer that had been in development for much longer. Thankfully, it's clear from fan reception that A Hat in Time still came out on top in this whole mess. A Hat in Time still revels in its collectathon platformer nostalgia, but manages to carve an identity of its own by actually being a good game on top of that. Nice responsive controls, well-designed levels that aren't too big or too small, and an art style absolutely oozing with charm, complete with funny characters and an adorable protagonist. It's rare that Kickstarter games turn out this well, but just like Shovel Knight before it, it's very clear to see the amount of love and effort that went into it. I'm definitely looking forward to any future projects Gears for Breakfast may have up their sleeve. This game is pretty much destined to become another cult classic hidden gem. It's like right after it came out it just dropped off the face of the earth and pretty much no one was talking about it. Gravity Rush 2 is still a pretty flawed experience like its predecessor, but it makes up for it with some new elements to add variety to the puzzles and combat, its grand and well-designed worlds that are a blast to explore with the anti-gravity mechanic, outlandishly unique sequences and set pieces, a fantastic soundtrack, and a colourful cast of characters. Plus, Cat is one of the most lovable protagonists I've played as in recent years, striking a good balance of funny, charming, and adorable on the precious cinnamon roll scale. This game was striking so many of the right chords for me that it just left me with a smile on my face for most of my playthrough. Even if we never see Cat again for another one of her surreal adventures, I'm glad I was along for the ride for this one. I have a particular tradition where every December, I pick a huge game to spend the entire month chipping away at to distract me from the fact that working during the Christmas rush period is crushingly depressing. 2015 it was multitasking Just Cause 2 and old school RuneScape, 2016 it was Final Fantasy 15, and this year it was Persona 5. I made a good choice for a December game because this game is packed with stuff to do, but I'll be damned if I didn't enjoy every minute of it. Fantastic visual design, enjoyable story and characters, a few interesting twists to the standard turn-based battle formula, and a terrific soundtrack that easily ranks up there with the best of the year. Although as much as I love the music, I don't want to hear Last Surprise ever again. Surprises tend to lose their impact after the first few hundred times. I was a PlayStation boy growing up, so I never really played a lot of Mario games in my youth, but I've always had a fondness for platformers regardless. It's just a shame that in the last 10 to 15 years good platformers were so hard to come by. Leave it to Mario Odyssey then to so effectively remind me of why I enjoyed this genre so much. This is one of the best collectathon platformers I've played in years, sporting some of the tightest controls I've seen that allow you to do many tricks outside of what the game expects of you. A massive amount of variety by way of the possession mechanic that keeps the gameplay ever-changing and rarely stale. Huge beautiful worlds that harken back to the more open-ended exploration we haven't seen from the series since Sunshine in 64, and an absolutely staggering amount of collectibles, challenges and secrets that will keep you busy for a long time if you're gunning for 100%. It's accessible enough that newbies can pick it up and play it no problem, but it also ramps up the difficulty enough in places that veterans will still be getting sweaty palms. And hopefully this will be a gateway to repairing the damage Oddworld caused by making people misspell Odyssey for all these years. Well, if you've seen my review for this game, then you likely already knew this was coming. I'm probably always going to be one of those insufferable hipsters who prefers the original Nier as an overall experience, but that doesn't make Nier Automata any less of a fantastic title. From the strong story and characters, the solid soundtrack, the satisfying combat, the unusual blend of genres, and the undeniable bleak charm that Yoko Taro carries over to all his games. You see, Internet, there is more to this game than one of the most finely sculpted asses in all of video games. From the action-heavy opening chapter all the way to its heartwarming final sequence, Nier Automata cemented itself as my game of the year right from the moment I played it. I adore this game, and the very idea that its financial success is likely going to lead to Yoko Taro making more projects in the coming years just makes me all the more glad that it exists. At the same time, part of me is also afraid that this will set a dangerous precedent, like they'll announce a new Nier, or a remake of the original game, or even a new Drakengard, and we'll just be swarmed by weebs yelling, "Where the big booty android bitches at?" Wait, isn't that pretty much what happened to Fire Emblem? Well, that's that for 2017. What a great year. I'm not sure what currently unseen new releases 2018 will have to show, but I already have my plans for next year sorted out. I'm going to dedicate some time to getting through the colossal backlog I've been building for the last few years, getting around to many games I never had the chance to play when I was younger, or possibly even find some hidden gems or new favourites that I've let scoot by for all these years. I'll be sure to cover anything I think I'll have plenty to talk about. In the meantime, I've got a big project I've been working on. It may take a while to come out, but I look forward to showing it to you all once it's finished. Happy New Year, everyone, and I'll see you next time.